Today, we're talking about the new tiered packages in TaxDome. I went into ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT to create 3 packages for a small business under 100,000 that's just starting out. And I wanted each package to have additional features. I wanted ChatGPT also to use that industry average so that I could make this a little bit easier for all of us. The first thing that you need to do is ensure that all your services are set up. As we're just starting with the services here, we're going to do a new service and we're going to take this and select our tier. Now, you can go through if you already have these services and outline each one individually. However, for our purposes today, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. And we're just going to go through and add that service. And then our ChatGPT said that this should be $525. And we've created the first one. Now, the next one is our tier 2. And we're using this industry average of 250. Let's copy all of that. I had to look around the camera. And this one is going to be 250. And we're doing this, notice, by item. And then we're going to do our third package, which is our tier 3. It's just an annual checkup. And that's a one-time fee. If you noticed, I'm putting all of these to a demo, but you can put this for whatever category. If you're working on tax-related packages or a comprehensive package, you can add those categories in here. And this one is going to be a one-time charge of $1,500. Let's create that. We're going to go into our firm templates, and we're going to take this slider and slide over to where we have recurring invoices. We're going to create a template. And the first is going to be a recurring monthly fee. We're going to copy that into our template name and into our visible to client name. Then we have the choice of copying part of this or however we want it to be. So I'm going to just copy what my description is. We have 12 recurrences. And for our example, we're going to start on the 15th. You may want to change this to the first of the month. However, keep it consistent. And then down below, you have the choice of either adding your individual services, or you could use the services that we just created. Now this is showing $525. There's a total of $6,300. So we're going to save and exit. And then we're going to create that template for that second tier. That is going to be our essential compliance. We're copying that into these 2 locations, adding 12 recurrences, making sure this is going on the 15th. And then we want to keep consistent and add our description and then come down. And if you had just done an itemized invoice for your first tier, I would recommend doing that itemized invoice for your second tier. Save and exit. Now this last invoice is an annual invoice or a one-time invoice. I'm going along the assumption that this one is going to be a regular invoice, and I'm going to add this invoice. Now I went to, this is again on my firm templates, and right here at the top, let's create template. And then this one will be called our tier 3. And our description is going to be a once a year. So this, even in the description, lets the client know that they will be having this once a year. And I can type, I promise. We're going to add that tier 3 here. And whenever you do, it adds that $1,500. And you could go ahead and save and exit. So we've built our services, we've built our invoices. Let's go build our templates for the overall packages. Now we're in firm templates and proposals and engagement letters. Let's create our template here. The template is going to be called Small Business 100,000 Service Packages. So we have this, and we don't want the client to see the pricing, but we want them to see that it's small business packages. So we're just going to edit this so that it looks nicer for our client. Our team member is Michelle, and we're going to add our introduction. You can use ChatGPT for this introduction if you'd like. For our ChatGPT, I asked it, could you please come up with a polished introduction? This is a little bit large, so I'm going to come here and just work a little bit to pull that down to a decent size where I feel comfortable sending this out so my client doesn't have the option to view it from space. We're going to reduce these, and then we're going to reduce this a little bit because I want this to look a little bit more professional when my client opens it up. So now we have all of our packages built from the service perspective, from the invoice perspective. The next thing is going to do the tiered packages for the engagement letter presentation. So now that we have got our introduction, we're going to go in here, and for our tiered packages, we're going to start with setting up the first package. If you'll notice, as I try and copy over everything and paste it in here, it's not allowing me to paste everything. So I'm going to back off this. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can name these packages, but for this example, I'm just trying to keep it very simple and very easy to follow. So I copied our tier 1, and then now I'm copying our name of our package. If you'll notice, as I'm building it on the far right, this center item is being built out. This is going to list our services and request payment. It's the best practice, but I also found that the clients really like this. Now we're going to take our invoice template, and because this is our recurring, we're going to choose our tier 1. So we're using this slider right here. We're going to do tier 1 right here. And then that sets everything in motion. I only have to come down here to the bottom where we have the ability to add the client-facing presentation. And we're going to copy the items from here to this location here. If you'll notice, we already have the blue checks, so we do not need these green checks. So we will copy only the weekly, the part that's after. And as I copy this over, you'll notice whatever I'm putting in here is being built right here on the screen. The next thing, I'm going to copy each item. Now, these are not exactly how I would make my offerings. Whether your listings here match what you've come up with. And although I did use ChatGPT for this, ChatGPT is wonderful to better organize your existing offerings. Now for this package, I want to highlight this because I'm really trying to drive more of those advisory packages. So I'm going to put here that this is the best value. That way it puts in the client's mind that this is a great savings for the client. We're going to add another package. Now we can either duplicate tier 1 or create new. I want to create new, but the duplication works if you're going to have step down packages and you want to list all your services in the first package and then be able to copy those down. So we have our tier 2, and if you notice, I keep forgetting that everything doesn't copy over. So we're going to put our tier 2 here and paste. Then we're going to come in here, and this is again our recurring invoice with our tier 2. And because we did that work in building those invoices, it's really simple to add this into our proposal. Now, we have our tier 2 essential compliance. Let's go ahead and copy these individual items. So now, because I did not duplicate this, I'm going to have to copy and paste. But if you had started with a duplication, it would just be a matter of pressing these trash cans on the right to clear out that information and make that package detailed to what you want to package with your existing information. So if you were doing the tax return and bookkeeping for package 1, the package 2 was only the tax return without the bookkeeping, you could just simply go onto this right and click on this trash can and get rid of that information. Now I have everything built out, and I really don't want to add what it's not showing. However, I really do hope, TaxDome, if you're listening, that you you have something that we could showcase what the client will be missing out on. And we're ready to save. Now, again, I've highlighted that first package, and I don't need to highlight an additional package. And we're going to go for our final. Again, you could, if you had this where you were stepping down tiers, you could step down from 1 to 2, and then duplicate 2, and continue to delete things that you weren't offering with those lower packages. So our final is our tier 3. And I like using this out of ChatGPT because it does have the little graphic in there. I think that it just looks interesting as a great presentation when we're all trying to learn how the software works. So this is our one time, and this is going to be our tier 3. I've added that in there. And then I come down and I'm going to add what is included for this package. So I've already requested from TaxDome, and I really hope that you guys will join me in looking it up in the community and sending a like to let them know that we really want, where if, say, tier 1 was advisory, bookkeeping, and tax return, tier 2 was bookkeeping and tax return, and tier 3 was just tax return, that we would have the ability to tier our engagement letters all in one, so that you're getting that engagement letter out at the same time and it's very clear and concise. However, the overall response right now has been that we need to just outline those tiers in our engagement letter. And I haven't figured that out, but we have that coming down the pike. So if you notice, it said terms skipped whenever I went through there. I'm going to have this where after I get this information from the client, I'm going to add this into my pipelines so that I can have those engagement letters go out with that pipeline. Now you can use here for one of those form letters you have. I know that you've sent a lot of emails repetitively to the client. And if you don't have one, just go ahead and create one, because this is going to be your introduction to who you are and what you're offering through the firm. So we're going to save this template, but I want to show you, what does this actually look like from the client standpoint? So now I've gone into the client's portal. I want to see what this looks like from the client side. So I'm going to click on small business packages. And if you'll notice, it was just a really quick little button right here. And as you go down, it will show you, this is our introduction where we were talking about the small business. And I asked ChatGPT to come up with just a really quick introduction of each package. When I scroll down, it shows what the best value is and then the other tiers. And if we had that ability to mark that little no, then we would be able to see what was not involved in each of these packages, which I think would give a better presentation. However, working with what we have, this really highlights why the best value is that tier 1. Once I select that, then I'm going to come up here to my next step, and it's going to prompt me to put in a payment information, click to sign, so on and so forth. But this gives you a really good view of how your client is going to see what you are offering. I hope this helps. I think that this is a really great product, really great job, TaxDome. I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of these videos in the future weeks. Please stay tuned.